Hello, welcome everyone. Shala here, bringing you a very special guest and a very special experience today. I don't know if you remember, I believe it was my soul sampler number 54. And in that particular soul sampler, that morning, I had woken up and been given an insight. You know, I'm very passionate about changing our whole understanding around economics and looking at alternative new paradigms, new ways of looking at our relationship to money and to currency. So I'm just going to read over to you those points that came to me that morning, just before I did the Soul Sampler 54. And it was basically a message saying, we have been conditioned to believe that money and currency is designed to create only one thing: material security. And what I was shown is that currency actually relates to other very important aspects of our human experience. And these were the 5 areas that currency and economics related to, that were shown to me. The first one, spirituality. The second one, reciprocity. The third one, creativity. The fourth one, generosity. And finally, perhaps the ground floor baseline, security. And in a way, you know, this kind of reminds me of the whole philosophical understanding of Maslow's hierarchy of needs, where, you know, our need for basic food, shelter, clothing, and all the things we need to survive in the physical realm is only, in a way, one aspect of what we need as human beings. And I feel that these dominant power models have sort of, from, you know, top down, pressured us into believing that all we actually really need and deserve is that very bottom base security, physical needs met. But our human experience, the dignity of all that we came here to do, necessitates that we have a full range of life experience on all these other levels. So I feel like those points that were shown to me that morning were saying, this is how you want to think about economics. This is how you want to think about currency and exchange. And I was so excited to share that, and even more excited and delighted that I received a message back from this amazing woman, Andrea Ferber. Welcome, Andrea, to my channel.
Hello.
I'm really excited to hear that Andrea has a background in economics. In a moment, I'm going to get her to share with you her background and some of her unique perspectives that align so much with the message that came through for me that day, that I actually realized, Andrea, I believe I channeled that message for you.
Yeah,
for you to hear.
So. That seems so.
So that
really,
you could finally, you know, you could finally share your unique vision and perspective that you've been developing over really decades of doing this very important work. So with no further ado, Andrea, would you please share with us a little bit about specifically your background in economics? And you can share also anything else you feel is relevant about, you know, where you live and where you grew up and what your life experience has been.
Yeah, of course. I'm 62 years old. I was born in East Germany in 1960, so that is behind the Iron Curtain. So the first almost 30 years of my life, I was socialized and also trained and educated in this, what we call a socialist planning economy, but also a very profound education in economic history and history of economic theories. And the education I got in East Germany was really very well, and that was proven after the reunification, because I could step into this Western capitalist economy overnight. It was not a minute something strange to me or foreign or challenging. It was very, very easy for me to be successful in this new economy. So the last decades, I made my PhD, by the way, in the history of economic theories from Aristotle to today. And a specific subject was this neoliberal economy, what is going on in the Western industrialized countries since the 70s, and which collapses right now. And yeah, I have a special view on economy, how it works and how it doesn't work. And so I have been waiting for this collapse or for this crisis, what we are going through right now, really for a very long time. And I almost said, maybe Andrea, you are mistaken. You are wrong. You think the wrong thing. It works out. But when you brought these principles, it was like, yes, God wants to tell you, no, Andrea, you are right. So these 5 principles are explaining to me, and hopefully at the end of our interview also to others, what is really important to know for everyone, for every person on this planet, that we can prevent ourselves from a lot of very bad things. One, of course, a revival of economic crisis. This is not a natural thing. That is almost an unnatural thing, this crisis. But it's full of information by God. And so, yeah, as we agreed, let's go through these different principles. And one thing is really also important for my background, because it's also important for this subject we want to discuss right now. I'm living in Lutherland, in the land of Martin Luther. So this area here is the home area of Martin Luther. And Martin Luther has much more done to the economy, as even the Lutherans know, because he brought up the mindset long before industrialization and capitalism, the mindset of a successful market economy. I will come back to this. So yeah, my socialization, my biography is not just one line, but I was influenced by very, very different schools and mindsets and philosophies of life and politics and periods of social situations. Yeah.
I'm absolutely wowed. Like when we met and talked, you hadn't shared this much with me, and I just feel so honored, Andrea, that you found me and that we're able to bring this out in a beautiful way today.
We will see. Okay, shall I start?
Go for it.
Okay,
please.
Well, as agreed, I would really love to start with spirituality, because that gives us a little bit the basis for everything else.
Andrea, I just want to point out how interesting it is that you're starting with spirituality, and the dominant paradigm that has been in power starts at the other end with security.
No, you have to start with spirituality. It depends on your definition of spirituality.
Okay.
You came up with a definition in your video with saying spirituality to feel more connected to a deeper spiritual meaning on the planet, a quote, an Aschella quote. And yes, there's no contradiction, but I would love to add something.
Great.
My offer for the definition of spirituality is Spirituality means that you understand and agree that from the moment your mother delivered you till the moment you pass away into the spiritual world, you are in God's school. This planet is nothing else than God's classroom for us.
Mm-hmm.
We are here to learn about Him, to learn about His principles, His laws, His wisdom. And the major school subjects of God's school is, on the one hand, nature, and on the other hand, economy. These are the two fields we have the chance to discover God wisdom, and by this to do what God loves most, evolution, to evolve, to develop ourselves from a lower level of conscious to a higher level of conscious. So what makes God is wherever we are, there's evolution going on. And I experienced that those people who understood this and have the humility to say, yes, I'm going into God's school my entire life. This entire life is about evolution and learning. Those people, by the way, have not just a very successful life, not always materially, but spirituality, consciously. And just to say, when I was in East Germany at the university to make my PhD, I had a colleague, Nathan Steinberger, who was a professor at this time, 75 years old, an old German communist, who was over 20 years in a labor camp of Stalin as a prisoner. So it was a very hard story to him. He survived, his wife too, with a lot of talk about it. But what I want to say is, he was one whose entire life was about gaining wisdom, understanding, gaining a deeper understanding, what is life about. And he once told me, you know, Andrea, it was very hard to be in this camp, be a prisoner, Stalin's prisoner, who was really a criminal, of course, horrible. But you know, Andrea, what I could learn during these 20 years, I could have never learned on another way.
Wow.
Incredible. The people I met in these camps, the talks we had, I would never meet outside, the talks we never would have outside. So at the end, to resume when he became 94 years old, and when he was 90 years old, he wrote a book about his life. A wonderful thing, really. It's marvelous. So what I want to say is a spiritual life. He was not a believer in God, but he was a spiritual man. So when we could agree that spirituality means I understand this chance to get born is just about using this chance, using this life for learning instead of consuming. It's a question of the focus. It's a question of the focus. Is your focus just on having fun and consume? Then Nathan's life would be a crap. But if you get focused on gathering a deeper understanding, discovering this life, God's world, then no matter how rich you are, at the end of the life, it was a rich life.
A rich life, a meaningful life. And one, you know, I'd like to add one based on relationship, as you've pointed out, to God, to our desire to other people, to our
economy.
Absolutely, to
and
our
that is the field
influence.
of economy. Yeah, the field of economy is a field we can learn by creating relationships.
Beautiful.
relationships regarding to the most difficult thing in life,
Yes.
meeting someone else's needs, because this is economy about. We produce something, we create a service, or we produce a good, aware, hoping that it's useful for someone else.
Yes.
We could
Absolutely.
fail. We could fail.
Mhm.
There's a very well-known
Mhm.
economist from the 19th century, and he said, selling is like the salto mortale. Because just when you try to sell your product, your service, then it comes out whether you did a good job or not.
Yes. I remember reading somewhere that you're not actually selling a product or a service, you're meeting a need.
Yeah,
You're actually meeting a need.
you meet a need that your client sometimes doesn't know that well, then
That
you
they
as
need
a
it.
seller, as a serviceman has to know. You have to develop a deeper understanding for
Mhm.
someone else than
Yes.
he for himself.
Wow. Wow. Yes, absolutely. I
That
love
is
this. I love this.
a really spiritual understanding of selling, and not this power selling, how to manipulate, what tricks,
Mhm.
that is not a spiritual way of selling. And that's why it doesn't work at the end of the day.
Yeah, it may have short-term
Very
success, but it
short term,
has not
very short term.
long-term
Yeah.
sustainable
It
success. And
destroys
and
trust.
if it is only it destroys trust, and if it's just got a short-term success, then they have to recreate that power dominant next thing that they're going to exploit and extract and like manipulate and control. And hence we end up in a world like we're in right now, where
Yeah.
things have just been pushed over the edge. There's no more quality. Everything is exploitive. The whole thing feels to
Yeah.
me anyway. I mean, I'm not an economist, but
there was another not an interview, but a presentation by you the other day. And you said, I think it was with this nice Polish lady, and you mentioned something like the next currency might be trust. No, trust will never be a currency, but it was, though, extremely important, because the first thing you buy when you buy something is trust and trustability. When you go to a bakery, before you decide which bread you buy, you decide subconsciously, can I trust this bakery? Can I trust that this bread is not full of poison, for instance? So before you can make a bargain, before you can make a deal, you negotiate the price. Before you do all this, there must be trust. And that is a very, very damaged thing right now.
yes,
The politicians lost our trust. That has a huge damage to our society, to our peace.
Yes.
And so trustability is something we have to guarantee after this crisis, because it's also a question of efficiency. I grew up in a little village, just 4,000 people. Everyone knew everyone. No one in this village dared ever not to pay a bill. Unbelievable, unthinkable, because that would have damaged his reputation in our community. No one else would ever do a deal with him. So we had this social control and this trust thing, and that made the life very, very easy. Look, PayPal, what is the product of PayPal? At the end, it's trust.
Yes.
PayPal sells trust. PayPal says, I guarantee You can trust every person in the world
Mhm.
to make a deal with him, to buy something or to sell something.
Right.
You can trust, I stand for this. So the
Mhm.
original product of PayPal is trust. And
Yes.
that shows how important trust is to make this economic machinery working well and efficiently.
Okay.
Um,
Beautiful. I love it. I love it.
I could go much deeper in
Yes.
this.
And I feel we will again at some point. We'll cover some
Yeah,
of these things
sometimes,
in more
but not
detail.
now.
Yeah. Yeah.
So for the moment, it's important that we agree about our understanding of a spiritual life. It's
Yes.
about learning and an understanding.
Mhm.
And one reason why all this could happen with our economy and financial system is because the huge majority of the mankind is not interested in learning about economy.
Mhm.
Henry Ford said in the 30s of the last century, when people would understand our financial system, we would have a revolution next day. But the mankind didn't understand the financial
Right.
system and wasn't even interested in understanding.
Yep.
That is
And
the point.
and
And that's why we
absolutely.
are also guilty for what is going on right now.
Yes. I mean, we're guilty and it's so understandable because we've been like in a pressure cooker that distills everything down to these baseline fears. And like I go back to Maslow's hierarchy of needs, just focus on the need for survival, the need for basic security on a physical, material level. So when we open up this spectrum of these 5 points, it forces us to go, you know what? It isn't a life worthy of the gift we've been given to come here. If all we do is that.
Education is a
Yeah.
value, is a
Mm.
lifestyle. And
Yes.
I was really shocked when I changed into this new Western system.
Uh-huh.
I was confronted with a totally new German word, which means overeducated. How could someone be overeducated? You know, in East Germany,
Yeah.
education was all our life was about. The government put tremendous resources
Mhm.
in the education system
Mhm.
for everyone.
Mhm.
So to be an educated person meant in East Germany you have a good life.
Mhm.
And the entire, everything which was about culture and education was
Mhm.
extremely cheap, extremely cheap. Everyone could afford, everyone.
Wow. And it's like almost the opposite in the
Yes,
West.
yes.
Yeah.
It was really shocking to me. What does it mean, overeducated? I mean, that means I learn just as much as I at most need
Mhm.
to earn money. Is it all about earning money?
Right?
I mean,
Get that certificate, get that degree, and then stop educating
yeah,
yourself. That
yeah.
is like kind of an atrocity in
The
a way.
thing
And
is,
I just want to keep coming back to, it's really about, I have an understanding in a way that we're born indebted. I don't mean like that we're in a deficit, but I mean that it's like it's such a gift to come here and have this
yeah,
physical experience. And
yeah,
so much has to die to support us living. We eat, we build our houses, we cook our food, to actually keep us in the physical embodiment, other things have to die. So we are always in a relationship of like kind of owing something, but we don't have to feel like bad about that. It's really about, like you say, what can we give instead of what can we take?
well, and
What?
now we are right on the track of reciprocity.
Okay, let's go for it.
Um,
Is that the one you?
Reciprocity
Yeah.
is on one hand the method
Mhm.
God teaches us,
Mhm.
because he doesn't tell us a lecture or a speech. He doesn't talk to us by words. What he does is He let us do what we do. We have intentions, we have dreams, we have ideas, and then we try to realize them. So, for instance,
Yes.
I have a garden. There's a piece of earth that is mine, and I can create it. And I have an idea of my garden, of my future garden, and I start to do it. Maybe I have the idea to plant a cactus on the wet lakeside of a lake. God wouldn't interfere and said, no, don't do this. Okay, let her do. But what will happen? The cactus will die because God made this cactus for the desert. Aha, now I learned, not good.
Yes.
Now, of course, I can go into the internet and I have the knowledge of the mankind. So which plants, which flowers, which trees are good for my garden? This kind of earth, shadow, nutrition, everything. So to be successful by realizing my dreams, God says, you have to learn. Otherwise, it won't work. So there is a reciprocity between doing something and the outcome of my doing. And in between, God interferes. Either it says, yeah, right on track, or no, Andrea, try something else.
Well, and also when you do plant that plant in an area that it thrives, you are helping the plant and it's gifting you back with abundance, with fruitfulness.
Always.
So it's
it
this,
reacts.
we are in a reciprocal relationship. And instead of being afraid, just thinking, what do we need? What do I need to get so that I can survive in the physical? It's like you say, it's a relationship. It's a learning experience back and forth between you and the other. And you grow from that and the other grows from that.
And there's a point coming up into my mind. When you're on this learning track, experiencing track, interacting track, no matter whether you do have enough money or not, that is my experience in these 62 years.
Me
when
too.
you are on the learning track, God promotes you, He pushes you. Doors goes open, you didn't know that they exist. Miracles happen, really.
Yes.
All the miracles in my life were, as long, Andrea, as you are on the track of learning, it's not a problem that you did a failure. That's good, because now you know something.
That's right.
Keep on going, and I help you. I show you how much I love what you do. And then from one moment to the other, wonder over wonder, things happened and open doors for going on.
Amazing. Yes.
So the point is, when you are on the track of the focusing on just consuming, having money, doing everything just because of having money, and consuming and having fun, you may be very poor at the end, or a very bad person at the end, or both together. But when you are on the track of or focus of learning, evolving, getting better, getting a deeper understanding, you create an inner richness. And reciprocity means like inner, like outer. So there gets direction. You are as rich on the outer world as you are on the inner world.
Oh, absolutely.
There was a very famous, very rich broker, a Jewish Hungarian, Andrea Kostolany. He doesn't live anymore. Very, very educated man. And he very rich man too, because of his actions on the stock exchange. Well, and he was asked one, Andrea Kostolany, what is the best investment for my money? And he answered, the best investment, invest your money in learning, because what you have in brain cannot crash anymore. No one can take it from you.
Yes.
And you can make money out of it again and again and again.
Mhm.
Invest in your brain. That's the best
Totally.
investment,
Oh, I love it.
you know. So,
Check. That's what I've done.
yeah, it
And,
works.
and honestly, I've done that with a pretty low bank account most of my
Yeah,
adult life. But, it's fascinating because, I got 2 degrees back a number of decades ago, but I learned more. Probably they represent about 10% of what I learned, but what they did was they helped me become a good researcher, a good writer, and sort of a technician with regards to learning different modalities. And then I've just gone in every direction. And I've invested in learning, educating myself, following my interests, really indulging in that curiosity to find deep meaning, which is going back to the spiritual. And
that
then
is
to look for,
spirituality. That is a
that's right.
spiritual life.
It is.
That is a
And it's
spiritual life.
rich. It's rich. It's so fascinating because I end
Yeah,
up
and you
like
got
having these.
promoted by God. He helps you. He
Yes.
helps
And
you on.
totally. And it's so fascinating that I look at people who've devoted their time, energy to create the big bank account and all these big material things. And then we kind of look across at each other and I go, every moment of my life is rich and meaningful, whether I have, money or no money. But for them, they got all these things and now they don't know what to do. They're kind of lost because they haven't really spent time focusing on developing that inner richness. So there's no substitute for that,
No.
and it takes time. It takes time. It's a long-term
it's a lifestyle.
investment. It's a lifestyle.
It's a lifestyle.
Totally.
Well, reciprocity.
Yes.
The reciprocity is the crucial principle of a really functioning economy. That means you get what you gave. You don't get without giving. I can't find words to express how important and crucial this principle is for economy. You may even say economy is all about reciprocity. When you ignore this principle, you will produce a crisis sooner or later. All economic crises in the history of mankind, you may even say all social crises in the history of mankind, are caused by ignoring reciprocity.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, I totally
The definition of crisis is a culmination of, I looked to Wikipedia,
yeah,
is a culmination of a dangerous and wrong development. We have been on the wrong track and now get paid for mass misconduct.
so clear. So clear.
So clear. Mm-hmm. Everything what is true is clear and easy. Mm-hmm. Truth is always easy. Mm-hmm. But this is difficult to understand how easy truth is.
Yes, it is.
What is the situation right now in our society, in this world situation? You may talk about deep state or the World Economic Forum or the Satanists or whatever you want to give a name for it. What they all have in common is they created a world in which they can take from us and giving back nothing. Look to the financial crisis in 28-29. They simply printed money, gave out loans, but there was no value. This money was not the result of giving and taking. There was nothing behind.
It was fake. And, yeah.
Fake. Yeah, fake. And but they became super riches and haven't given back anything, nothing. They just abused our political institutions, our law, our everything, constitutional rights, everything, for widen their rights to take without giving.
Right.
That's all.
So let's go. We've got just a few minutes left here. I want to go to the other 2 points, and I'm feeling creativity has a point in here. There's something about that.
Creativity is our mean given by God to do the reciprocity, because to give before you take, that is a very difficult thing. You have to find out something that really someone wants to have to give you here this euros, because this piece of paper says, oh, Andrea was very successful by or in giving someone a service he really wants and needs in a value of 50 euros.
Mhm.
Well, that is a hard piece of work to find out something.
Yes.
You need creativity.
Uh-huh.
You need creativity to be able to serve the principle of reciprocity.
Okay.
That means given before taken. And because it's so hard, such a huge majority dreams of not having or being in a situation that they don't have to do it. Look into the internet, to YouTube. There are millions of YouTube channels telling you, well, we can teach you how you can your money let work for you, how you don't have to work anymore, and you get every day thousands and millions of dollars or euros. So obviously the entire world, the huge majority, shares the dream of the super riches. To take and not to give. By the way, that's why they allowed the super riches, 1%, to do what they do. Because a lot of people, the huge majority, dream the same dream. Because it's so hard. It's such a hard work to produce something, to provide something that really a person wants and wants to pay for it.
However, I feel the creativity is the hinge pin, because in the slave society that I feel, I mean, we can go back to Roman times and before that, however that power dominant system was created, I feel the first thing that was taken from us was our creativity, because it's a natural thing. When you put a human in an environment, like say a child, an innocent newborn child that's, healthy, put them in an environment where they have support and freedom to create, they will create. It's our innate soul that wants to create. We are here, and you look at children when they first are introduced to things, like
you are right.
Paints and anything, nature, and they're just like, wow, and the first thing they want to do is start playing, which is the beginning of creativity. They want to interact, they want to build things, they want to, and then they have dreams, and then their imagination opens up. So the slave system cut our creativity. You don't have time to be creative. You're part, you work for us, we own you, and you're lucky to be surviving. There's no room for creativity. Your creativity is gone. So then, of course, what we end up wanting is what the master has. Well, the master doesn't have creativity either. They just have exploitation. But that's all we see as an alternative. So we just want to become like the master. But what we've lost is they're not happy either. They're not fulfilled living a meaningful spiritual life with, reciprocity and growth and educating themselves. They're just living in they're slaves of their own system. They are just as much enslaved in their system as their slaves are. So we got cut off from creativity.
Yeah, you are absolutely true, but there is a difference in creativity for just your own enjoyment, and the creativity focused on earning money by serving someone very well. For instance, I have my coaching, consulting, training business. That is my business. But I have this other thing, my pictures, my art. And I will never, no matter how much money I will earn by this, I will never turn into this art business to 100% because I can afford and I want to afford to do art just for fun, not thinking whether someone likes it or not. But when I use my creativity to create an offer for my clients, which is also a very creative thing, then that is from the very beginning as a service for someone else. And it's very important that we live on these two stages.
Well, and I want to take it one step further, Andrea, because I believe that they actually inform and strengthen each other. So I believe that as we work to create something that is useful and a beautiful offering to another being, it enhances our ability to be creative for pleasure and vice versa. I know that my pleasurable creative pursuits make me better at what I do because they create a richer tapestry of life for me,
That is right. That is right. I also love doing a seminar. It lifts me up to do a seminar. But I'm in every minute under control as a servant, as someone who serves them. Their benefits, the benefit of my clients is always in my mind. But when I do my flower pictures, I don't think of anyone, just me and my fun. You know the difference?
Yes, I do.
Of
And
course,
it's a full spectrum.
I need these two stages because this exhausting soul situation people have is because they just live on the stage of doing a service for someone else, and they don't have, this is reciprocity. You need different principles in your life.
Yes.
As we need the sun and the moon, the light and the dark, the cold and the warm. We need a disciplined service for someone else, and we need this just let it go, getting surprised by my own creativity. We need, and that is reciprocity of God made different principles to cooperate, and they have to be in balance. And to come back to the last principle, security.
Okay, let's go for it.
It's just one sentence. When you live these four principles we discussed right now in this way, you don't have to care about security anymore.
Yes.
What could happen about you? What could happen? Nothing. You are strong. Whatever there is, it's just a challenge that, oh, I know so much, I will try out something. That is like
well, they say, that really successful entrepreneurs are the ones that, they see challenge as opportunity. And that's the
and
security.
They work, by the way, they work. And this is Martin Luther. Did you know that Martin Luther was the one who said, from now on, working is the first duty of every Christian. No matter they are a priest or a feudal, we all have to work. And that is the mindset of capitalism, because it's the first society and economic system for thousands of years. Also the leading class, the business owners, the factory owners, the entrepreneurs, the capitalists, you may call them, they all worked. I have here these old industry areas from the 19th century. They are very modernized, but in between you find marvelous houses, like little castles. These were these old factory owner houses. They live right next to their factory. So they were also, their life was all about working.
Yes.
And that makes an economy successful.
Now, Andrea, I know that there's going to be some of our viewers that immediately feel self-conscious about their position. If, for example, let's say they're elderly or they have disabilities that prevent them from feeling like they have a lot to offer or be very productive. How do you feel that ties in with this? Because I'd like to speak about that as well.
Very easy. A society that lives the principle of reciprocity has enough resources to support those people in any
And do
way.
you see that that is actually, they fulfill a role in a way because they allow us to have that experience of sharing and reciprocity? Like there's something, and even, you know, I'd like to go even a step further with this and say, it has a lot to do with our mindset about where we are in the spectrum of things. And I think it goes right back to not believing in those 5 principles, because even people who are, say, for example, elderly or have compromised health or in extreme pain or whatever, you know, they may create some art with the little limited ability they have that is an inspiration to another. They may tell their story, they may write a book, they may, you know, there's just there's never a point. You watch these, I remember seeing these videos of, you know, people with like that don't have any, were born without arms and are painting with their toes. Like, I mean, it's just this, there's always something, if you really settle into your truest human heart and soul, there's going to be something that wants to be given from that place. To be given.
Yeah, and you should support them in this. And you know what? I love to spend or to pay taxes for people like this. And not just because of them, but because of me. Because I don't want to be a human being that doesn't care. It's for my blessing.
Yes, exactly.
You know, I was in third world countries, and I was shocked how the leading class is, or the rich people are absolutely ignorant about the poor people. What for a society? I mean, here in Germany, we have a very strong social system, which, by the way, gets also a lot of abuse, but that is another thing. And I said, I don't like to pay taxes, of course, but in this case, I really love it because that is for me. It is a wonderful world for me to get out of my house. And there's no homeless person. They have all have a good house, enough to eat. They get included by the work they can still do, and so on. So it's for me. I do this for me.
Yes.
I don't want to become such a bad, ignorant person that doesn't care when there is a human being next to him suffering poverty
and
or something
that
else.
in all, we can actually wrap this whole thing up to describe it as dignity, human dignity. Like that is, you know, that's what economics is really about. It's about restoring healthy economics, is restoring human dignity. It's a beautiful gift to have this human life. And we are not these base, you know, creatures that just take and exploit and have like a dark human nature. You know, we are beautiful, exquisite, dignified beings.
Yeah, but I would like to say at the end something very important.
Yes.
All these principles, it's good that we know they are crucial and they would make an economy working well. But that's just the one side. The other side is what my great-grandmother always told to me. She said, Andrea, she passed when she was 94. I was a teenager, so we had a lot of talks. And she said, Andrea, you know, the good people are there for stopping the bad people and forcing them to become good people. So we have to use power in any way. And as I've once told you, that is what is really a shocking thing to understand and to see during the last 20 years for me. I have this working sheet for my clients so they can work out what are their 3 or 4 leading values in life. And this working sheet is you get a lot of possible values and you just check whether very important, important, unimportant. And there are religion, freedom, health, whatever. They have to check it. And then at the end, from all the very important values checked, they just choose 3 or 4. At the end of the day, I try to gather these working sheets, taking them at home, because I'm always interested in what did they check as totally unimportant. And you know what? To more than 90%, for more than 20 years, again and again and again, no matter it's a CEO, an entrepreneur, or a team member, staff member, they all check as totally unimportant power and control. How could that be totally unimportant when you want to make a world a better place? And now I understand why the bad boys have this power.
And we've been conditioned. We give it, and we've been conditioned that it's not our.
We have to stop this.
And the place we start giving the power back is ourselves.
Yeah.
So taking these concepts, I really hope that those of you that have stuck through to the end of this beautiful interview, take these concepts, apply them within yourself. And this is the first step to reconnecting with your power. To how are we going to create this new world with a new healthy economy? Individuals connecting with the truth of these values, these perspectives, and empowering themselves. And then we can start to gather as groups of empowered individuals to make changes to this system and claim our power back. I mean, that's the biggest ruse of all, is that either we don't deserve it, we don't care about it. I mean, to me, that's like, you know, they've removed the bars of the prison or the, the cage, but we still see them there.
And don't forget, knowledge is power.
Knowledge is power. Thank you, Andrea. This has been absolutely delightful. I will definitely be inviting you back on. I feel like we have lots more to share and talk about. Now, Andrea, you do offer one-on-one coaching, economic, financial coaching. So I'm going to put
everything, potential, financial, well, in the sense of how to create a service or a product that someone else really needs. How to negotiate, how to cooperate with other people. So everything that is important in economy when it comes to working together, that is my field. You know, beautiful. I don't help in the field of digital solutions or controlling or things like this. But everything that is important, that you live out your potential, that you meet your potential and to cooperate well.
I love it. I love it. Thank you ever so much, Andrea. I will put links to how you can contact Andrea to schedule a consultation with her.
Thank you very much.
Wonderful to share with you. Bye for now, everybody.
Bye.